My name is Beverly. I'm currently the CEO and founder of African Yuva. I love the people, the unity, it's very admirable, I think. Secondly, I think it's a beautiful country. I don't know if you've had a chance to travel around and explore, but I believe it's one of the most beautiful countries in Africa. Secondly, the innovation. I think Kenyans are some of the most innovative people in the world, especially when it comes to things to do with craft, handmade items, and such things. So you find a lot of people really work with their hands, and it's something that has been there since since the 1800s. Since our forefathers were here. You find a lot of communities were started with working with their hands, making wooden crafts, making jewelry, and now of course recently making clothes. And most people just really lack the opportunity to showcase their products to the world. Yeah. That's a hard one. I'm a foodie. I love food. I love cooking. But I think when we look at the top 3 contenders, it would be chicken, baked chicken. I love mashed potatoes and mukimo. So mukimo is a Kikuyu traditional dish that is made of mashed potatoes, peas, and maize. Do you know the strangest thing about me? I hardly listen to music. So I can't really tell you what I'm listening to at the moment, but I've been listening to a lot of bongo from Tanzania. I love Diamond songs. There's an artist called Otile Brown in Kenya. I love Otile's songs. Yeah, so that's what I've been listening to a lot lately. My hero has to be my mother. I think she's one of the people that I look up to most in the world. She's a strong, resilient, beautiful woman, and she's basically and very kind as well. She's the embodiment of what I aspire to be as I grow up and grow older. That has to be Grassfields. I mean, I've been following their journey from the beginning, and I'm very inspired by what they've managed to do, seeing as these are people who started as 2 young sisters in Cameroon and with limited finances, and they've managed to grow such a huge brand of African made clothing. And when I look at my brand, that is where I aspire for it to go. My brand is called African Yuva. We manufacture and sell clothing here in Nairobi. So most of our products range from dresses, shorts, jumpsuits, pants, basically all types of women wear. We also sell fabrics and handmade baskets. I'm a sucker for unique things. And I think when I was starting the business, I wanted something unique, but that still speaks to the brand and speaks to the brand being African. And I really thought, I thought about this for months, and I was wondering what name am I going to settle on. So one day when I'm just browsing the internet, I come across the name Yuva, which means home in Turkish. And so I just decided, if I call it African Yuva, it could mean, the home of African fashion, because in the beginning this was purely a brand that was catering to people interested in African print fashion, but we've now diversified to even more different fabrics, like just plain cotton, polyester. I've always loved looking good. Even as a small girl, I loved dressing well. I loved wearing beautiful dresses. And I remember my mom and I had very different tastes in what to wear. And more often than not, she would buy me clothing that I quite didn't like. And I would end up not wearing it. So it reached a point where, she would give me money and tell me, you go buy what you want. So when I was in campus, which was around 2018, thereabout, I just had the idea, why not start a brand that, makes African print clothing. And at the time, I remember a lot of people were not doing this, and there was a huge gap in the market, especially in Kenya, for people who are looking for clothes to wear, especially to weddings and other functions, but they couldn't find reliable tailors. I think literally everybody you talk to, you'll find they have a story where they've been disappointed by a tailor. I think you've seen online stories of what I wanted versus what I got. Tailors are not known to deliver what people request for. They're not known to deliver on time. They're known to play cat and mouse games. So I wanted to be different. I wanted to change that narrative that you'll not get what you asked for, that tailors are unreliable. So basically I wanted to change that narrative. And I remember when I started, I did not have the capital to start, but I just basically bootstrapped my way through by using customer deposits to be able to deliver the clothing, source the fabric, pay for the labor, and yeah, I guess they say the rest is history. Wow. So as I've just mentioned, I started this when I was in campus. And when you're an African child, your parents take you to school, they expect you to get good grades, and then look for a job, a well-paying job thereafter. And so in 2018, just when I was really starting, was when I was in my final year of campus. I was set to graduate in December of 2018. And when I graduated, I did look for a job actually. But I was not quite comfortable because I was multitasking. I was doing both the job, the business, but it was, it was very hard to balance both. And eventually I had to quit the job. And when I did, I remember my parents, even my uncles, my aunties, they kept sending me job applications, say, we need to apply for a job, apply for this job, apply for this job. And they didn't know that I didn't want to look for a job. This is what I wanted to do. But then how they've been raised and how the culture is, I don't think they thought someone can become a successful business person, just by starting there. They think you should go get a job, get the experience, and then maybe you can, start the business. I just kept doing what I was doing. And I remember at some point, my dad came to my house in 2019. And back then I didn't have this store. I was working from my house, which was actually a very small studio apartment just down the road. And on the corner, there was a whole stack of fabrics. On the other corner, there was another stack of baskets. And I was telling him how good the business is doing. So he just looked at me like, so you're not going to look for a job? And I told him, no, I think I'm going to do this, And he didn't seem satisfied that this could work. But looking back now, from now to then, when I've been able to set up the workshop downstairs and this store, and now the business is able to cater for my bills. It even pays for some of my siblings' school fees. I think I changed their mind, so yeah. So some of my biggest challenges were first capital. Remember, I'm straight out of campus. I have nothing to my name. I'm just your regular struggling campus student. So that definitely was one of the biggest challenges that I had to muddle through. Secondly, this being an online business, creating trust among customers. That was another thing that I really struggled with, because again, online businesses, the precedents that have been set by other online businesses, that there are a lot of con men online. Sometimes you'll pay for a good and what you get is very, very different from what you've paid for, what you've seen online. So getting people to really trust that this is a business that is going to deliver, this is a business that is going to deliver the product that I asked for, that was quite challenging. The hardest thing, or rather some of the hardest challenges that I'm facing right now is that the brand has really grown, and it's growing at a really, really fast rate. And now I have quite a number of employees. So first, managing that is a bit of a process for me that I'm still learning to do. The other thing would be setting up systems for the business such that we're able to deliver good quality product consistently, and for the business to be able to run in a seamless manner. I think my biggest joy, and one of the things that I enjoy most about this whole process and the business, has got to be the creating process. Once you do that whole trial and error with the product, and then eventually you get that end product and it looks perfect, then people are going to love it. That has got to be the best thing. Coming close to that would be the feedback that I get from clients. Some of them give you such good reviews, which really validates your efforts, because I think some of these things are important when people, when you know that people like what you do, when they like your products, they think the quality is good, it validates you and gives you the motivation to keep forward and creating more. Directly 9, but indirectly I would say so much more, because with 9 we have 3 tailors, I have 3 support staff, I have the social media manager, I have my assistant, and then the rider who does my deliveries. But then indirectly there's so many more people. There are the women who make my baskets, which is a whole group of women. Of course, the guys I source fabrics from. So I think it's a whole network of people. One of my biggest challenges would be first navigating through the international markets. Recently, actually as recently as last month, PayPal limited my account for no apparent reason. And after following up closely, I found out this is something they've been doing for Kenyan accounts. I've had my PayPal account for close to 5 years now. I've ran transactions worth more than $10,000 through the account, and these were all business transactions. And with the thing is, once you transact on PayPal, you're able to key in the tracking information of the order, so that once it's delivered, they can track that this information was, this order was delivered. But now since then, I've not been able to transact on PayPal, so this has blocked me out of a whole stream of income, especially this being summer, and of course there are more sales during the summer period. So I wonder, would this be different for me if I was not African? You understand? Yeah. I think to any starting entrepreneur, someone who's in their early stages, I would just encourage them to keep going. When the business is still young, you might have those days when you think, I can't do this, the business is never going to grow. But what I can encourage you is that it gets better. You just need to keep pushing, be consistent in what you do. I would say African Yuva is a product of consistency. I have kept going even when I didn't have the capital to start. I have kept going when I was exhausted. I have kept going because I was driven to see this grow. So consistency is everything. Don't start something today and then because you faced a few challenges along the way, you stop. No, just keep pushing, muddle through the challenges, and at the end of the day, you'll come out on the other side. The biggest lesson I've learned so far in business has got to be that life and business in general, it's a learning process, it's a growing process. You should never stop learning, because you don't know everything that there is to know. And for you to be successful, you have to keep learning. You have to keep learning from people. You have to keep learning from people who've gone ahead of you and who've done better than you. Yeah. For 4 years now, which is since the beginning of the business. So when I started the business, I was looking for a platform or a channel to be able to export my products to the rest of the world. I did not have a website then, and someone from Africa reached out to me on Instagram. They told me, hey, we have this platform where you can list your products and people from various countries will be able to purchase. So I think it was definitely God sent, perfect timing. Yeah. And so far so good. I'm really grateful for the platform. Of course, the ability to be able to list the products and sell them, and to different countries, and the shipping rates. I think what you guys did with DHL, that was really amazing, because as a single vendor, I would not be able to get such competitive rates, because I would not be able to push such volumes. So that was definitely, something amazing. If you're not on Africa yet, you definitely need to list your products right away, because these guys are going to open the borders for you, and you're going to see such amazing growth in your business. And I think one of my favorite things about Africa is that you guys take the time to actually go and meet the vendors individually and get to hear from them, get to hear what their grievances are, how you can make the service better. That is definitely commendable. Yeah, I won an award in 2020 at the height of COVID. The award was for being one of the top 3 sellers in Africa, which was such a huge feat for me, because you guys have over, I don't know how many vendors you have, but there must be over 100. And for me to be able to make it to top 3, that was quite something, and it was inspiring for me. Definitely. The thing about business, you have to keep innovating. You have to keep on finding, new ways to do things, and being better. I'll have a collection dropping in June of 2022, which will be my summer collection, and I'm sure you guys are going to love it. I'm grateful to God, for giving me the ability to be able to create, to start a business that supports multitudes of people. And I'm also grateful to myself. People forget to thank themselves, but I am grateful to myself for putting in the hard work, for not quitting, and for pushing through even when it was hard. Running a business has got to be the hardest thing that I've ever done, but I think every day we push through. But most importantly, I'm also grateful to my team who make this all easier, who come in here morning to evening and give their best to ensure that the business runs successfully. Also grateful to my family and my partner for the support they've given me.